Right, let's quickly bring you up to speed with the story that is taking place in Khayelitsha. 5 people have been gunned down in that township this morning, with the motive for the shooting still unclear. Our reporter Athi Mtongana is on the scene. And Athi, you were telling us off air that the bodies are about to be moved from the various scenes where they were discovered. Tell us more.
Yes, Dolly, you're quite right. In fact, I do then want to move out of shot so my colleague can show you that the bodies are still here and that forensics are getting ready to start taking the bodies in and take them to the mortuary. What we understand about this story, Dolly, is, as you've heard before from the Provincial Commissioner, Temsile Patekile, talking to us about the number of people that are involved in this particular incident. And as you put it, 5 people gunned down, and the people that are laying there are male victims, 4 of them, the ages of 20 to 28. Right now, what we know in as far as how this whole ordeal transpired is that one of the male victims that's laying there was taken about 300 to 4 meters down below. I don't know if my colleague would be able to pan and show you that they took one of the bodies that you saw there from down there where we had that interview with the police commissioner. I'm not sure if my colleague would be able to show you, but he spoke about how they will also be looking at a case of kidnapping, because the male victim who lays here was taken from one of the homes that you see in front of you. He was apparently in a relationship with one of the deceased. One of them is a female, and we're told by the Provincial Police Commissioner that the woman was half naked, as well as the male victim that was taken from there all the way up here. He was also not fully dressed. And so what we understand is that they were in a relationship, and the man was taken from that particular home and was taken to this particular place. And some residents suspect that he was taken to come and help the perpetrators identify the rest of the male victims that are lying here. It seems as though this was planned and organized by the perpetrators. But I do want to bring in a community member who's going to talk to us about this incident and perhaps shed some light in as far as what the residents are feeling at this particular moment. Mama, niziva njani ngale nto yenzekileyo?
Apha siva kabuhlungu kakhulu ngento eyenzekayo ehlala isenzeka kwindawo esihlala kuzo, kuba kaloku asinazindlela. Zinzima indlela kuze kungene even iambulance kwindawo esihlala kuzo, namapolisa nawo akude. Xa safowunela siyasokola, funeke ulinde afike sekugade for assista kule ndawo sihlala kuyo. And then ngelo xesha sithe sawafumana ngalo athatha even ixesha loba azofikelela. And i-challenge esinayo apha, sinabantwana, siphakathi kwamahlathi. Zininzi izinto ezenzekayo, abantwana bethu abekho safe. Asilali ebusuku kuyankqonkqozelwa abantu bezilelele, especially abantu abangomama nabantwana babo, because kwindawo enamatyotyombe amatsha i-challenge ebantwini abangomama inintsi kakhulu yokuvulelwa izindlu zabo, kuthathwe izinto ezikwi-belongings zabo. So ke ngoku uncedo lwethu siyacela into yobana ngaba urhulumente nosithi wentshona koloni babazame kangangoko into yobana ngaba balungiselele abantu bonke abakumatyotyombe elilentshona koloni, especially kwinto edibene nombane. Kusebusika ngoku, sizawusokola umzekelo sisi ngoku uya kwam eteksini ndiya phaa ezantsi, kuphinaphi ndingumntu ongumama ndivuka ngo-4 ndisiya ngaphaya ezantsi. Yiyona nto esiyicela into yobana ngaba rhulumente wentshona koloni no-PJ Smith we-safety khanihlanganeni ninonke nabantu bakwa-Human Settlement, Mr. Boy, bakhe bazodilishana nale ngxubakaxaka sinayo, bancedisane nathi singabahlali.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Now, just to loosely translate what this lady was saying, can you continue showing visuals for those who've just tuned in? You are looking at visuals of 4 male victims who were gunned down in the early hours of this morning. Again, just to loosely translate what this resident was saying, she's saying she needs, they as a community need the collaborative effort of the city of Cape Town, the provincial government, as well as SAPS to ensure that they help them combat crime. And she was talking about how difficult it is, particularly for women, to feel safe in this community. She's talking about how she has to, for instance, walk all the way across about 400 to 500 meters to get to a public transport to be able to access hospitals, etc., and even work. But to get out of here, it is a mission, it is a challenge, given the fact that there's no infrastructure, there are no roads, there are no lights, and it's also very difficult for police to come into this particular informal settlement, as well as ambulances in the case that they do need assistance in that front. They're saying that it is quite a challenge for anyone to access this particular community. Women feel very vulnerable, and of course, given the event that took place in the early hours of this morning, you can just feel and sense the fear. It's palpable as a group of women surrounds me, just waiting and hoping to get a word, at least from the South African police and the government, about the efforts of trying to keep them safe in this kind of an environment.
Athi, a little earlier, a family seemingly inconsolable as they were led to identify their loved one, or they may have come from identifying their loved one. Are you able to tell us whether that was the family of the only female in these murders?
At this stage, they have taken them away from members of the public who have gathered outside here, including us, the members of the media, because remember, this is very sensitive. We need to give them their space. We need to give them their time. The bodies were identified in just a few hours ago, literally. And so they need that space then to be able to console themselves and to just try to process this entire ordeal. But what we do know, and what is for certain, is that the lady that you saw there crying in grief is related to one of the victims. Now again, something very interesting about this case, and something that is seemingly shocking, is the fact that the male suspect that is lying here with the rest of the 3 others, remember there's 4 bodies that are laying here which will be collected by forensics. One of these males that's here was taken from one of the homes down there where that female victim was also gunned down. She was half naked, as well as the men. So if you were to put this together, according to the information that we gathered and according to what the residents are telling us, the male victim as well as the female victim were laying together in the early hours of this morning, and the perpetrators came in and started shooting at them, subsequently leading to the death of the female victim. And then they took the male victim and brought him here. And what residents are saying to us is that perhaps he was brought here to identify the rest of the suspects, which then means possibly that the perpetrators knew exactly what they were here to do.
Identify the rest of the victims, I think Athi means to say. Athi, as we wrap up the conversation with you, the motive by the police, they're saying that they have yet to establish why these murders were done in the first place.
Yes, and I mean, the police commissioner, the provincial police commissioner, mentioned how things have been quiet and as far as murders are concerned in Khayelitsha. They wouldn't get mass killings like they did last year. Remember, there was a time last year where there were 13 people killed in Khayelitsha in one given point in time, and then many other mass shootings subsequently to that. But this year and towards the end of last year, they had not had any events where there were cases of murders. And so what the police have spoken to is some of the murders that have been taking place during the weekends, where they identify one shooting, two people being gunned down, for instance, but not at this number. They're saying that some of the motives there speak to the alcohol intake and the consumption of alcohol, particularly in communities like these. There are many factors that they will be looking at, particularly with this one, given the fact that this particular informal settlement has not had this kind of shooting in the past. The residents were saying to me that this is unfamiliar, although townships are known to be areas of crime, but community members here say that this has not happened in a while, and so that's why they are shocked. But the police are trying to get to the bottom of it. They were very tight-lipped about the leads that they have. They do have leads, 2 leads to be specific, but they don't want to divulge at the stage. They want to continue with the investigations, and we wait right now, Xoli, then for the bodies to be taken by forensics here in Khayelitsha.
Live for us at the scene of an active crime scene, and it's a very disturbing story indeed. 5 bodies discovered in an informal settlement in the Khayelitsha township. This is in Cape Town. Among the victims is a female, and the police commissioner making the point to say that it becomes very, very disheartening when you have people killed in this way, and included among them a female. We're going to continue watching this story. Athi Mtongana live for us there.